This old man lives alone with his horse and a faithful dog. His name is Korpi. He moves through the desolate landscape, searching for gold. The land is scarred by war. He tirelessly digs through the rocky terrain. His hands are rough, his body worn, but his determination never falters. One day, his patience is rewarded. He strikes a rich vein of gold. He finally hit a big gold. It glitters through the sunlight. He screams in joy. He carefully collects them, stuffing them into his saddlebags. This means hope for him, a future beyond this war-ravaged land. Without hesitation, he packs his things and he sets off toward the closest town, leading his horse through the barren expanse. He sights the distant rumble of approaching vehicles. He spots a large Waffen-SS platoon advancing along the road. Tanks and trucks roll forward, flanked by weary, hardened soldiers. He knew they could kill him, but he didn't stop. Their commander, Bruno, surveys the landscape. His troops, battle-worn and ruthless, leave destruction in their wake. Among them, a group of Finnish women, their clothes tattered and faces hollow, are forced to march alongside their captors. Korpi keeps his head low as he guides his horse forward, appearing as nothing more than a wandering prospector. Bruno's men barely spare him a glance. To them, he is just another relic of a broken land. Bruno himself registers Korpi's presence for a brief moment before dismissing him. There is no reason to waste time on a lone old man. He would soon die anyways. Korpi continues down the road, watching dead bodies hanging, but his solitude is short-lived. A second group of SS soldiers positioned ahead blocks his path. They eye him with suspicion, noticing the heavy saddlebags. Curiosity turns to greed as they demand to see what he is carrying. One of them pulls open a bag, revealing the gleaming gold within. Their jeers turn to malice. They laugh, deciding that the old man's journey ends here. They will take his gold and leave his body in the dirt. Before they can act, the old man moves. In a blur, he eliminates them with brutal efficiency. Knives slice through flesh, bullets find their marks, bodies crumple into the dust. In mere moments, they are all dead. The sound of the fight carries back to Bruno's convoy. Sensing something amiss, he orders his men to investigate, and they turn back to see what was going on. As they arrive at the scene, they find the scattered corpses of their comrades. The unmistakable glint of a gold nugget lies among them. Bruno picks it up, realization dawning on him. This man was no ordinary prospector. His interest stimulates. He orders his tank and troops forward. They pursue the old man. He sees them coming from afar and races toward the edge of a desolate minefield. They immediately stopped. They waited for the old man to sigh up on a mine. Suddenly, a shot rings out. The old man's horse steps on a mine and is torn to pieces, but the old man still survives, collapsing in agony. He barely has time to react as he tumbles to the ground. Pain grips him, but he pushes it aside. He gathers his gold, stuffing it into his satchels. His pursuers watch, perplexed by his actions. Then, without hesitation, he picks up a stone and triggers a mine intentionally. Dirt and debris erupt into the sky. The shockwave rattles the soldiers, forcing them to halt. Bruno sends his soldier to go in the dust and find him. From the dust, he throws a mine direct to the soldier and he explodes. Bruno sends 2 more men and they step on mines and explodes. Undeterred, Bruno turns to his prisoners. He orders 2 of the Finnish women forward, forcing them to walk ahead as human mine detectors. The women hesitate, terror in their eyes, but they have no choice. Step by step, they advance, ensuring a clear path for the soldiers. Over the radio, he contacts intelligence officers, seeking information about this mysterious figure. The response is swift. The name Atami Korpi is no ordinary one. Once, he had been a Finnish army commando, a feared and relentless warrior who fought in the Winter War, a man who had lost everything, his family, his home. In his grief, he had become something more than just a soldier. He had transformed into a legend, a one-man death squad, a figure whispered about in fear. The Red Army had given him a name, Koschai, the Immortal. The revelation shifts something in Bruno. His orders were to retreat toward Norway, but now, the gold changes everything. If Germany has already lost the war, then survival becomes the priority. The gold is their key to a new life, to escape war crimes. Bruno makes his decision. He will hunt Atami down. Bruno's soldiers begin their relentless pursuit. The air is thick with tension as they release trained dogs to track Atami's scent. The hounds sprint through the landscape, sniffing the earth. Corpus senses them coming. They had dogs with them. Without hesitation, he rolls under their truck and rides. He punctures the petrol tank. He douses himself, masking his scent before vanishing into the wilderness. The dogs arrive soon after, noses working, but the strong smell of fuel confuses them. The trail is lost. Corpy is already diving into a nearby lake. The cold water engulfs him as he disappears beneath the surface. Bruno watches from the riverbank, calculating his next move. He orders a small boat into the water, sending 3 soldiers out to find the fugitive. They paddle forward cautiously. A soldier jumps into the water, but the old man attacks him. The water ripples red. Another struggles, but before he can react, his throat is slit. The 3rd soldier panics, scrambling toward the riverbank. Wolf raises his rifle and fires. The soldier drops, motionless. The water remains still. A tense silence falls. Then, Corpy emerges, pushing the floating corpse ahead of him, using it as a shield. They shot at him, but he escapes. Meanwhile, the old man's dog appears. The animal, loyal and patient, has been waiting for its master, but Bruno sees it first. The dog is taken. The old man takes shelter in the remains of a petrol station, at night, exhaustion pressing down on him. He bandages his wounds, his breathing heavy. The night is quiet, until a faint sound breaks through. A jingle, a familiar collar, his dog. Corpus' instincts sharpen. He turns, eyes scanning the darkness. Then he sees it, his dog padding toward him, something strapped to its body. A steel hand granite, its fuse burning down. Without hesitation, he lunges. He grips the grenade, ripping it free from the collar, tossing it just in time. Boom! The explosion rattles the ground. Dust fills the air as Bruno and his men emerge from the shadows. Surrounding him, they string him up. A noose tightens around his neck, cutting into his skin. He gasps for air as his body is hoisted upward, the weight of the gold still pressing against his sides. His vision blurs. Bruno watches, satisfied. The gold is theirs now. He motions for his men to leave. The old man's body sways, lifeless. But the fight is not over. Corpus' instincts take over. He forces his wounds against a protruding rebar, the sharp metal digging deep. The pain is blinding, but it does what he needs. It keeps him awake. His body stiffens, but inch by inch, he pulls himself up. The noose loosens. Moments later, the distant roar of an engine breaks the silence. A German aircraft descends nearby. 2 pilots step out, moving toward the wrecked petrol station in search of fuel. He collapses to the ground, battered but alive. One of them approaches to kill him, but he kills him swiftly. He moves like a ghost, swift and silent. The old man cleans up his wound and takes one of the pilots with him in the plane as they both fly. A minute later, the aircraft is abandoned, left in the Germans' path. They find the pilot lifeless in the plane. Bruno immediately knows, without a doubt, that the old man is still coming, and he won't stop, so he orders them to move out. The convoy presses forward, but tension is growing. The women sit in silence, exhaustion and fear in their eyes. But then, a shift. A blade slashes a throat. One by one, the sentries fall, their bodies tumbling off the truck into the dirt. The women watch in stunned silence as their captors are eliminated in mere moments. Then, Corpus enters the truck and stands before them. He tosses a rifle into Aino's hands. The message is clear. The time for fear is over. Aino takes over their truck and speeds forward side by side with the soldiers' truck. The women open the cover, take aim. Then, gunfire erupts. The German convoy is thrown into chaos. The old man starts hitting the roof of the tank. Wolf leaps from the tank and starts shooting at him but misses. They begin wrestling and they both fall off the tank. The old man then leaves him at the mercy of women who are heavily armed. With anger in their faces, they finally have their tormentor helpless and they finish him. The tank looms ahead. They steer the tank toward an abandoned Soviet transport plane. The aircraft is fueled, ready for departure, his escape. Bruno pulls his pistol and shoots Schütze. The driver collapses, lifeless. The old man rides a bike towards them. They take off. But Corpy isn't done. He shoots at them and uses the pick to hold on the plane, but they see his bike on land and thought he was still on the ground. The pilot is hit in the neck, but Corey doesn't care. Minutes later, they hear a noise. Bruno spins around, his pulse spiking. His worst fear becomes reality. Corpy is here. He hauls himself into the open hatch. Inside, the final fight begins. The two men grapple, fists flying. Bruno fights with the desperation of a man who knows he is losing. A sharp twist. Corpy grabs a static line. In a single motion, he hooks it to a live bomb. Bruno realizes too late. Corpy releases the bomb. The bomb drops, dragging Bruno with it. And then the bomb explodes at landing. The old man exhales, steadying himself. He turns toward the cockpit. The pilot is slumped forward, dead. The controls are failing. The plane spirals downward. He quickly braces himself, tightening his grip. The Earth rushes up to meet him, and then impact. The aircraft crashes into a swamp, sending a violent ripple through the landscape. For a moment, there is only stillness. Then, the old man crawls out, drenched, bruised, but alive. The old man continues forward with his dog, leaving the wreck behind. A Tommy walks into a bank. Inside, the teller barely glances at him at first. Then, the satchels hit the counter. Gold spills out. For the first time, Corpy speaks. His voice is low, rough, but clear. "Bills, big ones please, so the load won't be so damn heavy to carry." The teller nods, understanding.
If you enjoyed this video, please do well to like, subscribe, and comment on what movies you want us to review for you. Also, turn on the notification bell icon so you don't miss any of our videos. Thanks, and see you in the next video.